Let's. So I'm going to leave this up to you, JT. Do you want to talk World Supercross, Red Bull Straight Rhythm, or Ken Roczen? You pick a door, 1, 2, or 3.
I didn't watch any of those live, so I'll take Ken Roczen.
Okay.
Ken Roczen for the win.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. So Roczen on the Yamaha Straight Rhythm. Look, there were a lot of people saying that he was going to re-sign with Honda or figure something out. It now appears like we don't know what he's going to do for 2023. He told me in the UK he'll be at Anaheim. I've heard through the grapevine that privately he's saying I'm going to race this year. But what's he going to do, JT? What? I know you don't know, but what are his options? Where can he go? What can he do outside of putting together his own program?
I think the most likely scenario is what we saw in Cardiff, to be on Honda equipment, to be on Yuriv Konski's team, whether that's a part of Firepower Honda or not. I don't have the foresight to tell you, but I only say that because when I look around, I don't see a lot of other options on the table. Honda, to me, their signing of Colt Nichols was a pretty big shot across the bow of, hey, yeah, we're fine to move on from this, and I don't want to speak for them. I'm just telling you my interpretation of that move. That was a pretty strong signal, is that they're not waiting around on Kenny. But it's really difficult because Kenny's one of the most marketable riders on the planet, and I think for many years he was the most marketable rider on the planet. So anybody that you approach and say, hey, we have an opportunity that involves Ken Roczen for you, they're immediately going to perk up a little bit. I don't know where that goes. I don't know what he ends up on. I don't know what it entails. But when you have that sort of athlete that is looking for a home, I think everybody's listening. It's just whether it's realistic or not, that's a different story. But everybody has to listen to that. So it's, I would say it's one of the most intriguing situations we've had in a very long time, as far as like interest level, because I think every possibility is a small percentage. And there's nothing really obvious to me. Like there's no we all know where this is going to go. I don't see that right now. I don't see that obvious landing spot for him.
Randy, do you see a factory team making room for him? I don't. I just don't see it. So you look at KTM, you look at Husqvarna, you look at Kawasaki. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you consider HEP, Suzuki factory, I don't know if you do or not. Whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't see these teams finding budget / making room for him.
Yeah, you certainly would think they would want to, right?
Sure.
But as it seems as the entire motorcycle industry has had a bit of stabilization and budgets are kind of chill a little bit, right? I can't see anyone just throwing money at that and making more room for him right now. But you would think that most any of them would want to be aligned with him, like JT was saying.
And I'll add to that, the tough spot is that if you say, okay, yeah, Husqvarna, sure, but that means he's going to break up with Red Bull. Yep. The same for Kawasaki. He's not going to do that, in my opinion. So
I don't think so either.
Those possibilities are so complicated because of his, I won't say lifelong, but decade-long plus relationship with Red Bull. So that makes it that much more difficult to find a home, because I think if you remove that, if energy drinks don't exist, well, let's not go that far because this sport is in a really difficult place otherwise. But without that complication, I think literally every possibility is on the table, right? If Kenny's management goes to Bruce Sternstrom at Kawasaki or Robert Jonas at Husqvarna or Pit Buyer at KTM or whatever, says, hey, we just need to find a home for Kenny. Finances aren't as critical, right? We have ways to fill that gap, but we need top flight equipment and we need an opportunity for him to succeed. Without the Red Bull side, and that's not Red Bull's fault, like that's just his allegiance to Red Bull. Mm-hmm. I think everybody's listening at that point. Everybody's like, yeah, we could probably work something out here, but man, you throw these energy drinks into it, and I don't believe that Kenny has any interest in leaving Red Bull come hell or high water. It really starts to limit the possibilities.
I think he would
do it.
Maybe
I'm wrong.
I think he would do it. I think from what I hear, he would switch. Not preferable. Like he would rather stay with Red Bull.
I mean, that's my assessment. I could be way wrong there.
If he keeps Red Bull, he's going to be out of his motorhome with some factory suspension on a brand, whatever brand he thinks he can.
But why can't he go to Firepower Honda?
I don't think he wants to stay on a Honda.
Okay, well, I understand that.
Yeah,
I'm saying, why can't he? He can.
Oh, right? Yeah, he can, but I think he's going to want to be like, hey, I need to ride something else. You know what I mean? This is a 2-race deal, and then he's out of there. But, I think he looks at Anderson, and he looked at Tomac switching brands after a long time and saw how rejuvenated they were and thinks that could be a way to unlock his more success for him. And therefore, he wants to switch to a brand and try something else. So,
but a lot of those places, places just don't have room.
No,
they don't have budget. They don't have, you know what I mean? It's tough. If there was a big opening somewhere, if one of the guys couldn't race or whatever extreme situation where there was this huge opening and budget and opportunity, I'd be like, man, Kenny's got a really tough decision here to Red Bull or not to Red Bull. But I don't even know if he decided to step away. Like, I don't see anybody with a ton of money that's like, putting their hand up like, hey, we have $1 million or $2 million extra to spend here.
He didn't shut it down totally, but I brought up like, hey, can you just be the face of World Supercross in 2023? 8 rounds starting in July. He gets money right now from the series. He's not on a team per se. He's on your Reeves team, but he's getting show-up money from the series. Could you not just do a deal with the series to be their 2023, guy? And he's like, yeah, I would be open to that. He didn't rule it out. But from what I hear from people in the circle of him, that's not what he's looking for. Like, he's not going. He wants to be at Anaheim.
Yeah,
like,
to me, I would think that World Supercross thing is option B or C for him,
whatever.
Whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But salary from Honda, $1 million, right?
Well, when? Like right now?
Yeah. Like he's
significantly more.
Well, no, the offer they made him for this year, like his contract's up, right? So he was looking at about $1 million. He's going to lose that from any OEM. Like, there's no way at this point, October 17th, an OEM is finding $1 million in salary. Never mind the bike, never mind the support, which we all just talked about. So
I personally believe if you went to, Mitch Covington or whoever his boss happens to be and said, hey, we can get Roczen out of Red Bull and into a Monster Claw for $1 million if you guys write that check to Bruce Sternstrom and Dan Fahey and team over there. I have a really hard time thinking that they don't take that.
You think?
If for nothing else, that is a huge coup. That is to get one of their longtime athletes, global ambassador, out of Red Bull and into a Monster logo for $1 million. Man, I don't know, right? I'm speaking for their budget, which I shouldn't do. But I think they take a hard look at that.
Which, JT, that would be a much bigger move than him moving from a motorcycle brand to a different motorcycle brand, right?
Well, and there's a lot of money. Like the marketing side,
but what I'm
saying, they need to pull $1 million from somewhere else.
Yeah.
To get one of the biggest athletes that Red Bull has out. A lot of this it's personal, right? It's not just business and marketing for these guys. It's not like Monster's looking at, how many more Monster cans we're going to sell if we have Ken Roczen? That's not, in my opinion, that's not how they're looking at this. This is a personal battle, right? It's for global energy drink supremacy. Yeah. And if we can steal one of their most coveted athletes who's been with them since he was a little kid, I think they go for it. I really do.
And that's what I probably misspoke. But what I was saying was, if Kawasaki was to get him away from Honda, that's not as nearly big of a deal as if Monster gets him away from Red Bull. That's what I was.
Right.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant by that. Yeah.
I'm doing the math and $1 million from Honda.
We all know how good you are at math.
But he's got his let's say he keeps his Red Bull deal, and bikes and parts and factory suspension, no problem, whatever he wants, like from whatever manufacturer. But he's got his Fox money. So can he ride out of his motorhome with Fox money and Red Bull money and no contingency, no bonuses? Would he do that? I don't even see him doing that. No, I know, but I understand that, but I don't see that. I don't see him doing that. But then I don't see another path for him other than that.
Other than a bowl.
Another wrinkle of this is that his management is also the management that went through the Chad Reed, I'm going to do my own team, I'm going to create 22 Motorsports saga, right? And so Steve knows the trials and tribulations and the cost and the just epic workload that all that entails. And I don't know. This is my purely speculation, but my opinion is that Steve is going, don't do this.
Yeah.
We need to find a solution here because you don't want any of that. You don't want the cost. You don't want the work. You don't want to have to deal with, building your own bikes. And you don't want any of that. You don't want to touch that. I lived it, right? For Steve, he's like, I lived this. This is not something you want to do.
I'm talking like not out of his motorhome. Like I don't think there's any way he does this team thing like a 2-2. There's no way.
But if you're on your own motorhome, you kind of are your own team, right?
Well, but you're out of a Sprinter or whatever behind a motorhome with an easy up, and you're running Ken Roczen.
I'm not saying you got to go full 2-2 Motorsport and try to create a lasting legacy, but it's still versus showing up and like, hey, Lars, you guys good? Okay, see you at the press conference. Like the difference.
Yeah.
Between showing up in a motorhome with your own crew that you got to go hire and all this other stuff versus you have this Honda well-oiled machine. Like there's a wide gulf between those two.
Massive.
And then it comes back to the individual themselves. Like while Kenny is headstrong and confident, but we also know at times he's questionable as to what he's thinking, where he's headed, what he's doing. I don't think there's anyone in the industry more bullheaded and headstrong and stubborn than Chad Reed, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know that Kenny has that to push through there.
For somebody who couldn't, Factory Honda couldn't get the bike working for Ken Roczen. Smartest guys around, right? Most technology, great bikes, great company. Couldn't get a bike to make Kenny happy for the most part. Sometimes yes, but most part no. He's going to go to a production-based bike with no guys around him trying to make it work right. I don't know, man.
I don't see that.
I don't see it. So, should be interesting to see what Ken Roczen does going forward. That's for sure. But JT, his scrubs were sick at Red Bull Straight Rhythm, by the way.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is one of the most talented riders that's ever been a part of this sport. And that's what makes it so intriguing is we truly don't know, and you can throw a lot of different scenarios at me, and I have to assess all of them and kind of shrug my shoulders because I don't really have a preconceived notion of how this all goes.
Yeah, should be interesting. We've got a lot to talk about on the show going forward. That's for sure.